The morning sun spilled across the massive windows of Sky Harbor International Airport, but inside, it felt like the world was on hold. Passengers paced nervously, checking departure boards that flashed the same dreaded words: delayed and on hold. 4 weeks. A nationwide flight restriction had squeezed the country's busiest airports, filling terminals with stranded families, exhausted workers, and travelers just longing to get home. Among them was 14-year-old Lena Ramirez. Clutching the handle of her suitcase, she stared at the blinking board as if her gaze alone could force it to change. Her dad, Captain Miguel Ramirez, an airline pilot, grounded just like everyone else, put a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Any minute now, kiddo," he said, his voice steady. "The FAA's meeting today. If all goes well, we're clear." Lena let out a long breath. "I just want to get to Grandma's for Thanksgiving. And you, I want to see you back in the sky." She looked around the terminal. Tension was a low hum in the air. Parents were trying to soothe fussy toddlers. Business travelers were murmuring into their phones with furrowed brows, and airport staff were doing their best to keep spirits up, offering water and strained smiles. Then, a voice crackled over the speakers. "Attention passengers, we will provide an update on national flight operations shortly." A sudden silence fell over the crowded terminal. Everyone froze. Even the constant hum of rolling luggage seemed to pause. Lena's heart started to thump against her ribs. Captain Ramirez glanced up at the ceiling, as if he could somehow see the airspace itself, waiting for a sign. And then, something shifted. The terminal lights brightened, just subtly, but enough to signal movement behind the scenes. Phones began buzzing in unison across the hall. Airport staff started whispering to each other, their faces breaking into smiles. Suddenly, the airport's big screens flickered. They refreshed faster than anyone had seen in weeks. The words on hold vanished, line by line, replaced with boarding soon and on time. A murmur started to spread through the crowd. It began as a whisper, then grew into a wave of excited chatter, and finally, it swelled into a cheer that echoed through the entire building. A final, clear announcement boomed from the overhead speakers. The FAA has officially lifted all flight restrictions at major U.S. airports. Operations are now resuming nationwide. The terminal erupted. Strangers were hugging, clapping each other on the back, some even wiping away tears of pure relief. Lena spun around to face her dad, air eyes wide. "Dad, you're flying again. We're actually going." Captain Ramirez's serious expression melted away. He opened his arms and pulled her into a tight, grounding hug. "Told you," he whispered into her hair. "The skies don't stay closed forever." Moments later, the entire airport sprang into action. Airline crews, who had been waiting on standby for weeks, sprinted toward their posts. The dormant computer systems whirred back to life, and the gate doors began to open one by one. Lena and her dad hurried toward Gate 27, swept up in the joyful, urgent rush of travelers racing to finally reclaim their journeys. The jet bridge door swung open with a metallic sigh. It was a sound they'd all been waiting for, a sound that signaled something much bigger than just a single departure. It was the sound of hope lifting off again. As they stepped onto the aircraft, Lena gazed down the aisle. She imagined people just like them, all across America, boarding their own long-awaited flights. At this very same moment, her dad took off his casual baseball cap and replaced it with his captain's hat, settling it firmly on his head. It was back where it belonged. He gave her a quick wink before turning to head toward the cockpit. "Ready for clear skies, kiddo?" he called back to her. Lena found her seat and buckled in, her heart fluttering with an excitement she hadn't felt in weeks. For the first time, the roar of engines starting up outside wasn't just noise. It was a promise. The vibration ran through the cabin, a powerful, steady hum. The plane pushed back from the gate, its wheels rolling toward the runway with a renewed sense of purpose. And as the aircraft lifted gently into the air, Lena pressed her face to the window. She looked out at the bright November sky, a sky that was finally open again, wide and welcoming, ready to take them all home. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, remember to like and subscribe for more.